I just want to share how I make my peanut butter cookies very quickly. I usually use peanut butter, almond butter, any type of nut butter that I get. I add some eggs, and today I'm going to try adding xanthan gum. The reason why I'm going to do that is because many a time when I make the peanut butter cookies with the eggs, it's as though it doesn't have anything to hold it together. At home, I usually use the peanut butter and the egg, and you could use any peanut butter for that matter. I usually use the Members Mark or any other peanut butter with less sugar. There's one I usually use that doesn't have any added sugar. This is a 40-ounce container. When I take half of it, I usually just include 1 egg or 2. It really doesn't matter. It depends on what I feel like on that day, but an egg or 2 should be fine. This is a little bit less than half, so I'm going to include the almond butter. I usually don't buy branded stuff as long as the ingredients and what is on it is okay. This one says it's almonds and palm oil, but the calories is about 190. When you look at the total fat, it's about 17 grams. So usually with these nut butters, the fat is quite high. I would say when you're reading the labels, don't only focus on the carbohydrates that are on there, but also the sugars that are on there as well as the fat, because this one has total sugars of 1 gram, but it includes no added sugars. But at the end of the day, it does have some palm oil in it. The fat is about 17 grams per 2 tablespoons. Just be cautious if you are eating it. I usually make it for my boys because they are in sports and they need the protein, but from time to time I enjoy 1 or 2, so just be mindful of that. This one has 8 grams of carbohydrates, 2 grams of fiber, and it has 2 grams added sugar per every 2 tablespoons. I believe this one was also 2 tablespoons. This one has 180 calories. The ingredients in here is roasted peanuts, sugar, palm oil, sea salt. But my recommendation is, if you want to make sure that it really doesn't have anything else in there, you can look for one that has only peanuts and a little bit of seasoning, or just peanuts is completely fine. So I was able to find the one that I usually use, and it's the Smucker's Natural Peanut Butter. When you look at the ingredients for that, it's peanuts and it contains 1% or less of salt. So the main ingredient is peanuts and salt. But for today, with the peanut butter cookies that I'm mainly making it for the kids. And with the kids, they run a lot, they play sports, they are going to burn it off anyway. So I could use these two, and then when I want to make some for myself, I usually use the Smucker's peanut butter. Like I said, I always just look at the ingredients to make sure that there's nothing in there that I don't know of or that would not affect anybody that I'm cooking it for, aka my family, that would not affect them adversely. I usually pour the oil off the peanut butter because it can be a lot of oil that settles on the surface. At the end of the day, you want them to get their protein in, but you don't want to include all the fat that comes with it. So let's try and get this out from this container. Whew. I got it all out. I must say it was a hustle. I usually like getting it out with a spatula because, well, and a fork, because the fork gets everything out, but then the spatula, I'm not sure if you can see it, but the spatula actually clears out the container clean, which is pretty nice. I forgot to mention that even though I use peanut butter or almond butter or any nut butter for that matter, I use it as is majority of the time at home. I use the peanut butter or any nut butter, almond butter, whatever nut butter with the eggs alone. So I'll make part of it will be without xanthan gum, so you see what I'm talking about, and then the other part would have xanthan gum. Another hustle. Here we come. Once you have this out, the almond butter is usually thicker and more dense as compared to the peanut butter. I guess it's because of the way it's processed or the way it settles, I'm not sure. So I try mixing it up just a little bit so that I break out all the chunky bits of the almond butter. That is if I'm using both almond and peanut butter. You could simply just use peanut butter or almond butter. You don't have to mix it up. This is what I have left at home, and that's why I'm mixing it up. So you can actually be very, very creative with this. I'll keep trying to break it up and get it a little mixed together. It's always a challenge working with some nut butters, but we'll make it happen. But once I have broken up the almond butter a little bit, I will just include my eggs. And this is how it looks like. It has this smooth texture, consistency. Once we include the eggs and we mix it together, you'll realize that the texture changes a little bit more. It gets fluffier. I don't know what the science is behind it, but it just gets fluffier and easier to handle. I'll put in the egg. And this amount is actually about 20 ounces because I added what was left in the peanut butter container and what was left in the almond butter container. It together, I believe, is approximately 20 ounces. So I'm going to use one egg for now to see how the texture is before I include the other. Looking at the texture, even though it's getting fluffy, I think I'm going to include the second egg to see how much more fluffy you can get. At this point, your peanut butter batter is ready. Line your tray with parchment paper. Wash your hands, dry them, and start rolling up your peanut butter batter into about quarter-size balls. That's about an inch size ball. Place them on the parchment paper on your tray and keep them about 2 inches apart. Preheat your oven at 350 degrees Fahrenheit. At 350 degrees Fahrenheit, you would bake the peanut butter cookies for about 9 to 11 minutes or until lightly brown. I added the xanthan gum, about half a teaspoon of xanthan gum, to the second batch or to the remaining batch to see how firm the peanut butter cookies would be as compared to the ones without the xanthan gum. Repeat the roll and the same process to bake. I've made 2 trays and I still have this amount of peanut butter mixture left. With this peanut butter cookie, you can really get creative with it. You can include a little bit of sweetener. You can include some other seeds or other nuts. You can include raisins if you prefer. You can include anything for that matter. Coconut shavings to make it different. On that note, you know what? I do have some coconut shavings. I will add some unsweetened coconut shavings to this so that I can get some texture and some crunch with it, because I do like crunchy peanut butter and I used the creamy one. So the coconut shavings will give it that rough texture that I like. You can also use sweetened coconut shavings. The only thing is, because I'm trying to maintain the reversal of diabetes, I don't want to use sweetened coconut shavings. I will use the unsweetened coconut shavings. They are absolutely delicious with it. This is the one I usually get. It's a great value brand. That is the Walmart brand. It's nothing special. That is what I use. It really doesn't matter as long as the ingredients in it says coconut and not any other chemical or any other word that you do not understand. The ingredients is organic coconut and it includes 0 grams added sugar. That's all I need to know. The carbohydrates is 4 grams, the dietary fiber is 2 grams, so it has 2 grams net carbs per every 2 tablespoons. So I'm just going to sprinkle a little, just a little bit, like this full of a fork on that, just to give it that crunch. Again, you could add anything else. You could include chia seeds, you could include hemp seeds, you could include flax seeds. Again, if you want a little bit of sweet taste to it, you can include a sweetener, or if you're doing it for the kids, you can include brown sugar. I have been doing it this way for some time for my kids, so they are absolutely used to eating it without any sweetener. It still tastes absolutely delicious. So let me finish with rolling this into a small pan and let's be done with it. You can press it down with anything that you like. Actually, it doesn't have to be a fork. I just wanted to have that traditional peanut butter cookie stripes at the top, and that's why I use the fork. But you can use a spoon, you can just simply press it down with your fingers. It doesn't matter. And again, like I said, with these peanut butter cookies, you can include ginger, you can include paprika, you can include anything that you really prefer that will make this peanut butter cookie taste like home. Just go for it and get creative with it. I'll pop these in the oven. The first batch is ready and it looks absolutely delicious. We are going to allow these to cool. It's still pretty hot, but I want to show you what I mean by it crumbles. It still holds, and that's why I make them into bite sizes, because with the bite sizes, you wouldn't worry about the crumbs going everywhere. I'm going to attempt to take these out. It very easily pops off the parchment paper. You have to be very gentle with these, otherwise they will all crumple in your hands before you even place them on the tray. So very, very gently you pick them up and you put it on the parchment paper. This is the very last one, and see how easily it crumbles to the touch. Once you press on it, it just breaks apart in your palm. But if you're gentle with it, it really doesn't have to crumble. You can actually just pick it up and put it in your mouth. In this case, I'm going to taste this. Yeah, it literally melts in your mouth. It melts in your mouth and it's absolutely delicious. Now, like I said, if you're trying to lose weight, go easy on these because they are tasty. They contain quite an amount of fat per tablespoon. It would be very easy to consume a whole batch. So just, if you're trying to lose weight, just take your time with these, but they're absolutely delicious. This batch is actually one of the batches I added the xanthan gum to. I've never added xanthan gum, so I'm really curious to see if it makes any difference with respect to it preventing it from being so crumbly. It's still pretty hot, but already it feels firmer than the other one was. Let me take out the third batch so it doesn't get overly cooked. It's not crumbling, which is a good thing. meaning that the half a teaspoonful of xanthan gum that I used with these possibly worked. Okay, so the ones on the right are browner or a little burnt as compared to the one on the left, and that's because these were at the top. So that's something you should be mindful of because the heat does rise. This was in the middle section, so it got the perfect color, but this was at the top. It does cook a lot faster at the top as compared to what is in the middle or what is at the bottom. So just keep that in mind so you don't have a lot of charred peanut butter cookies, but I still do love them. Now, this is the one I included the xanthan gum in. Let's see if it'll crumble to the touch. It's still holding. It feels firmer. It's not crumbling. So I believe, yeah, including the xanthan gum does make it a lot more firm. It's still delicious. The xanthan gum actually does work, and it's basically just about 5 calories per 1 tablespoon, which is the serving, and we used half a teaspoonful, so that's divided by 4. This is 1 tablespoon. If you look at the total carbohydrates, is 7 grams. Your dietary fiber is 7 grams also. So basically your body is not absorbing any net carbs, and protein is 1 gram, but you do have a lot of protein in your peanut butter, about 7 grams or 8 or 9 depending on the nut butter that you're using per 2 tablespoons. So if there's no protein in this, that's completely fine, because you'll get your protein from your peanut butter and your eggs. I really do hope you enjoyed this video, and I really do hope you will try this and enjoy your peanut butter cookies. If you do, let me know how it turned out, and if you have tried peanut butter cookies before, let me know what you did different. I do hope you try it, and I do hope that you enjoyed. If you try it, leave us a comment. Let us know how it went. Only 2 ingredients, high in protein, very low on carbs. You can pair this up with some almond milk, or you could just crumble it in a parfait or eat it just as is. Either way, it is absolutely delicious. And don't forget, health is freedom, health is wealth, so stay healthy.